Let's kick off our series by talking about how to run SolidWorks for the first time. Before we get started, I want to take a second to talk about the different versions of SolidWorks that you may have purchased. There's a standard version, a professional version, and a premium version. If you have the standard version, there will be a few sections that you will not be able to complete because you don't have the available add-ins. Namely, PhotoView 360 is omitted, as well as eDrawings. Now, these are very minor sections in the overall scope of our project, so don't let that limit the amount of knowledge that you can receive. But if you do have the professional version or the premium version, you should be able to complete everything that we're dealing with here. The version that I'm using is SolidWorks Premium, so I have all the available add-ins and functionality that SolidWorks offers. Let's go ahead and run SolidWorks 2016 for the first time. You'll notice that when you do the install process, it'll place SolidWorks 2016 on your desktop, as well as any other products that you purchased or installed with the process. You'll also notice that I dragged and dropped a copy of 2016 onto my taskbar. I like to access my icons from here rather than on the desktop because I think it's a little bit cleaner, so I'm going to go ahead and delete my desktop icons and start SolidWorks 2016 by selecting the icon on my taskbar. Once SolidWorks loads, by default, you'll notice on the right-hand side various resources for you. This is the task pane, and it has a lot of functionality built into it. By default, this will show every time you open SolidWorks, and when you click anywhere on your screen, it'll minimize. If you expand this again, you can pin it open and leave your modeling window just to the left of it. This is not automatically locked to the right-hand side of the screen. You can move this around if you wish, but by default, it will stay on the right side of your screen. This is a great place to get general information, figure out what's new in the software, and even get access to tutorials that are built into SolidWorks. There are also various tools that are located in this area, and some we may or may not talk about as we get farther along in our series. Various other options in here, such as the design library, which you may or may not have if you're using SolidWorks Standard, Professional, or Premium. The design library, such as the toolbox components, are only available in Premium and Professional. But you still have access to things like 3D Content Central, which is an online repository that has millions of models, or SolidWorks content that's available during your install. We'll talk more about different aspects of things like the task pane later on in our series. What I want to focus on here when we first run SolidWorks is how you can get access to creating new documents or opening existing documents. By default, your file section will be unpinned, so you'll have to use this right arrow to go ahead and show it or hide it. I like to keep this pinned open because it doesn't take up too much space and it gives us quick access to things like creating new documents or opening recent files. You will also notice that the same icons are located to the right-hand side of this. We can create new documents or we can open existing documents from this area as well. We have a View, a Tools, and a Help drop-down. Now we'll cover all the functionality in these menus as we go along in our series. But for now, just be aware that in the Tools section, we have an Add-ins. When we go into add-ins, it'll show you all of the add-ins available with your install of SolidWorks. For instance, the premium add-ins such as PhotoView 360, SolidWorks, and various others like Simulation that I have installed are available inside of the premium add-ins section. Other options under SolidWorks add-ins are things like Composer, SolidWorks Electrical, and Flow Simulation that again were purchased with my install. All the way at the bottom, you'll notice that we have other add-ins. These are things that you may have purchased through SolidWorks or through a third-party vendor. For instance, 3D Control because I'm using a 3D Connections mouse. Mastercam X9 and Mastercam Direct because I have CNC integrated software with my install of SolidWorks. Power Surfacing, which is an add-in that allows you to do sub-D modeling inside of the SolidWorks environment. And then you'll notice the 3D Experience SmartLink and XPS drivers, which are default with all installs of SolidWorks. The other thing I want to mention is in the Tools dropdown, we have Options, which are also located again on the right-hand side. You can get to options, add-ins, as well as some other functionality to change how SolidWorks looks for you. And again, these are all things that we're going to cover in future topics inside of our series.